Imagine words that don't just pass through your ears, but settle deep in your heart. Verses that make your soul tremble, and your thoughts fall silent. Imagine poetry that doesn't just decorate paper, but opens unseen doors within you. That is the power of Sufi poetry. It isn't written merely to be read. It's meant to be felt. Every word is a whisper from eternity. Every verse is a mirror showing us who we truly are. And among the luminous voices of this divine expression, two names stand above all, Rumi and Ibn Arabi. Their words are not poetry in the ordinary sense. They are maps, guiding the seeker through the deserts of confusion, toward the oasis of divine truth. Their writings are not meant to entertain the mind, but to awaken the heart. Because Sufi poetry is not about love in the worldly sense. It is about the love that creates worlds. In this video, we will step into the mystical universe of Sufi poets, decode their timeless messages, and uncover why, even after centuries, their words continue to heal hearts and awaken souls. Sufi poetry is unlike any other form of expression. While most poets write to release emotions or describe experiences, Sufi poets write to unveil reality itself. Their verses are veils between the seen and the unseen, revealing truths about existence, love, and the divine. At the heart of every Sufi poem lies a single truth. That love is not just an emotion. It is the very essence that holds the universe together. It is through love that we come to know God. Through love that we connect to His creation. And through love that we discover our own souls. But how do Rumi and Ibn Arabi express something so vast, so sacred? Through mere words. Let's step into their worlds and listen closely. Rumi, the poet of the heart. Rumi's poetry burns with passion and longing. His words are like a dance, between the soul and the divine. He writes, "Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray." At first, it seems he's speaking of earthly love, the yearning between two hearts. But Rumi's love is far beyond the physical. For him, the beloved is not a person. The beloved is Allah, the source of all love. Every longing, every ache, every moment of emptiness is a message from the soul, calling us to return to our true home. In his masterpiece, the Masnavi, Rumi tells stories and parables that describe this sacred journey of the soul back to its origin. One of his most beautiful metaphors is that of the reed flute. He writes, "Listen to the reed and the tale it tells, how it sings of separation." Here, the reed represents the human soul, cut away from its reed bed, its source. And now it cries, longing to return. The sound of the flute is the cry of every soul that has forgotten its creator. That pain of separation, Rumi says, is not a curse, it is a blessing. Because only through longing do we begin the journey home. Ibn Arabi, the philosopher of unity. While Rumi teaches us to seek the beloved, Ibn Arabi takes us a step deeper, into the realization that there is no separation at all. Known as Sheikh al-Akbar, the greatest master, Ibn Arabi introduced the profound concept of Wadat al-Wujud, the unity of existence. He revealed that everything we see, every sound we hear, Every breath we take is a manifestation of Allah's divine attributes. He writes in his Futuhat al-Makkiyah, "The entire universe is the manifestation of God's names and attributes. Nothing exists but God. All that is seen is a reflection of His light." For Ibn Arabi, the divine is not far away, not somewhere in the heavens, but right here, in the beating of your heart, in the rustling of leaves, in every atom of creation. The lover and the beloved are not two. They are one. The same divine spark that burns in the stars also lives within you. When the seeker realizes this truth, he stops searching outward and begins to discover the beloved within. Both Rumi and Ibn Arabi teach us that love is the key, the bridge between the human and the divine. Rumi shows us the longing, the tears, the ache, while Ibn Arabi shows us the truth behind that ache. That there was never a distance to begin with. Their message, though centuries old, still resonates with our restless generation. Because we too are searching for meaning, for connection, for something beyond the noise of this world. Through their words, we are reminded that the answers we seek outside have always been within us, waiting to be recognized. Sufi poetry doesn't just speak of love. It calls us to become love, to live it, to see the divine reflected in every soul, in every hardship, and in every breath. Because in the end, the lover, the beloved, and the love itself are one. In the eyes of the Sufis, love is not something that exists between two separate beings. It is not a bridge, it is the ocean itself. It is the thread that weaves the fabric of existence together, invisible, yet binding every particle of creation in a sacred embrace. Rumi once wrote in his Divan-i Shams, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." These few words hold the essence of Wadat al-Wujud, the unity of existence. Rumi, though he often spoke of the lover's yearning and the ache of separation, knew a deeper truth, that each individual soul is not merely a seeker of the divine, it is a reflection of the divine. To love God, therefore, is to love the entire universe, because every heartbeat, every atom, every whisper of wind is an echo of His presence. This is love that transcends separation, love that recognizes the sacred connection between all things. It is a love that dissolves boundaries, a love that whispers, "There is no you and me, there is only Him." Just as Rumi spoke through the language of longing, Ibn Arabi, the great master, taught through the vision of unity. In his poetry, he reminds us that the divine is not distant or hidden in the heavens. The divine is right here, breathing through every moment, shimmering in every face, speaking through every heartbeat. For him, there is no other. There is only the one. Ibn Arabi's words challenge us to see beyond the illusions of this material world. To recognize the sacred in every instant, every encounter, every act of life. When your eyes open in the morning, it is He who opens them. When you speak, it is He who gives your tongue its voice. Every experience, whether joyous or painful, is a mirror through which the divine reflects His beauty. The poetry of Rumi and Ibn Arabi is not merely a collection of beautiful verses. It is a map, a guide for the soul's journey back to its origin. Through their words, they invite us to step beyond the surface and dive into the ocean of reality that lies beneath appearances. In their world, love is not just a feeling, it is a force. It is the divine current that connects us to God and binds all of creation in harmony. But the path they describe cannot be understood by the mind alone. It is not an intellectual path, it is a journey of the heart. Their teachings are meant to be felt, to be experienced, to be lived. Because truth, when confined to words, remains a shadow. But when tasted through love, it becomes light. Stay with me, because as we move deeper into their message, a powerful truth begins to unfold. That pain and longing are not signs of weakness, but essential elements of the spiritual journey. Both Rumi and Ibn Arabi remind us, suffering is not something to escape from. It is the sacred fire through which the soul is purified and brought closer to God. Rumi often spoke through the language of fire, its warmth, its destruction, and its power to transform. He writes, "Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form." This simple line hides oceans of meaning. It speaks of the eternal cycle of transformation, the way the soul, through pain and loss, is reborn into higher understanding. Just as iron becomes a shining sword after passing through the flame, the soul, too, becomes refined and radiant through trials and tribulations. Pain, Rumi tells us, is not the end, it is the beginning. It is the divine's way of awakening what is sleeping within us. The wound, he says, is where the light enters you. Ibn Arabi, too, saw pain not as punishment, but as purification. He believed that the soul must experience separation to truly remember its source. He writes, "The heart is like a mirror, the more it is polished, the more it reflects the divine." But how is the heart polished? Through loss. Through longing. Through the storms that strip away our attachments to the material world. Only when the dust of this world is wiped away can the heart reflect the light of the eternal. For the Sufis, pain is not suffering for its own sake, it is the fire of transformation. And when the heart passes through that fire, it does not burn, it shines. Yet, the goal of the Sufi path is not to dwell in pain. It is to transcend it through the power of love. Love, for Rumi and Ibn Arabi, is the divine current that runs through every being. It is the secret melody that holds the stars in their orbits. The hidden force that moves every leaf. The silent voice that speaks to every soul. For Rumi, love is the ultimate truth, the compass that leads the soul home. In his famous poem The Guest House, he writes, "This moment is all there is. Welcome it all, the joy, the pain, the loneliness, the fear. For it is all part of the divine." He invites us to open our hearts wide enough to hold every experience. To embrace every emotion as a messenger from God. Because love flows through it all, the beauty and the sorrow alike. For Rumi, love is not limited to romance or affection. It is an all-encompassing energy, a light that fills every corner of existence. Every tear, every smile, every silence becomes a meeting with the beloved. Ibn Arabi's understanding of love is equally profound. He teaches that love is not something that belongs to us. It is the very fabric of the universe. He writes that the divine is the lover who encompasses all lovers. And every lover in turn is a reflection of the divine. In his Diwan, he declares that love is the essence of all creation. Everything in the world is a mirror of the beloved. And all love is but a reflection of the divine. For Ibn Arabi, to love is to see God in everything. To realize that every soul, every being, every moment is sacred and interconnected. The lover and the beloved are one and the same, dancing eternally in the rhythm of existence. Through their timeless words, both Rumi and Ibn Arabi remind us that life, with all its beauty and pain, is not random. It is a divine love story. A story written by God, starring every soul that seeks to return home. And when we begin to see love not as something we feel, but as something we are, we awaken to the greatest truth of all. That the divine is not outside of us. He has been within us, all along. In the eyes of the Sufis, every act of love, whether it's love for another soul, love for nature, or even love for one's own being, is not merely emotion. It is an expression of the divine itself. To love is to reflect God. To feel affection, compassion, or mercy is to echo the same qualities that flow from the Creator into creation. Rumi and Ibn Arabi were not simply poets. They were guides of the unseen. Their poetry was not written for fame or beauty. It was a bridge, a sacred bridge between the material and the spiritual worlds. In the world of Sufism, poetry is not just art. It is divine communication. Every verse is a vessel. Every word a spark of heavenly light descending into human language. The poet, in this sacred tradition, is not just a writer. He is a channel. A being who receives the whisper of divine wisdom and translates it into words the heart can understand. Rumi often described the poet as a mirror of the divine. He believed that true poetry does not come from the ego, but from the beloved, from Allah himself. He writes, "The words you speak are not yours. They come from the beloved. You are merely the instrument through which the divine speaks." This is not metaphor, it is revelation. The true poet is not creating, he is reflecting. Just as a mirror has no image of its own, the poet has no wisdom of his own. He simply reflects the light that passes through him. Ibn Arabi shared this same sacred vision. To him, the poet is a medium of the unseen. Through words, he unveils hidden truths, truths that cannot be spoken in plain language, only felt through the rhythm of divine poetry. He believed that the poet's duty was to awaken hearts, to guide seekers along the spiritual path, to use beauty and metaphor as keys that unlock the doors of perception. Through their verses, Rumi and Ibn Arabi both remind us that the journey of the soul is a journey of awakening. It is not about learning more. It is about remembering what has always been within us. The poet's role, then, is not to teach, but to remind, to call us back to the divine presence that breathes through every moment of life. This journey, they tell us, is not an intellectual one. It cannot be found in books or theories. It is an experience. It is about feeling the divine in everything. In every moment, in every encounter, in every heartbeat. Rumi often speaks of this divine intoxication, the spiritual drunkenness that overflows from an awakened heart. He writes, "I want to sing like the birds sing, not worrying about who hears or what they think." This is the freedom of the awakened soul. A soul that no longer dances to the world's rhythm, but to the music of the beloved. When the heart awakens to the divine presence, fear dissolves, doubt disappears. You become weightless. A being of love, untied from the chains of ego and expectation. Ibn Arabi's vision of awakening also centers around returning to one's true essence. He saw the soul as a mirror reflecting the divine light. But like any mirror, it becomes clouded with dust. With attachment, desire, and forgetfulness. Through love, devotion, and self-purification, the soul becomes polished once more. Until it shines so brightly that only the reflection of the divine remains. He writes that the journey of the soul is a journey of returning to the light from which it came. Every act of remembrance, every whisper of prayer, every tear shed in longing, is a step closer to that light. The poetry of Rumi and Ibn Arabi is not a relic from the past. It is alive. It breathes with the same energy today that it carried centuries ago. Their words are not confined to the pages of history. They are living maps, guiding every soul who yearns for truth back toward the beloved. They teach us that love is the most powerful force in existence. That pain and longing are not to be feared, but embraced. For they are the flames that refine the soul. They teach that the path to awakening is not one of separation, but of unity. A path where the lover and the beloved become one. So as you listen to their words, pause for a moment. Don't just hear them, feel them. Let their poetry sink into your heart. Let it move something within you. Because these poets, through their verses, did not just leave behind literature. They left us a roadmap. A way to navigate the depths of the heart. To understand the mysteries of the soul. And to experience the boundless love of the divine. Each line they wrote carries a spark of that eternal flame. A flame that still burns today, waiting for the heart that will recognize it. So the next time you read Rumi or Ibn Arabi, don't rush. Pause. Breathe. And listen with your soul. Because in their words, you will not just find poetry. You will find the voice of the beloved, calling you back home.